So we go for the first Oolgy video this week, and we're with Oolgy. Oologgy. As I'm sure you'll find out in the heading for this video. So yeah, Oolgy is the study of collecting of bird eggs, and it's like a branch of ornithology. And yeah, it was first recorded in like the 1800s, like 1825 to 1835, like from the words oo and logi. And it's kind of like the branch of ornithology that studies bird eggs, nest and breeding behaviour. And it's where like the word derived from like the Greek word of orion, meaning egg, and logia. Oolgy can also refer to a hobby of collecting wild bird eggs, sometimes called egg collecting, bird nesting or egging, which is now illegal in many jurisdictions. So yeah, it's like Oolgy became increasingly popular during Britain and the United States. During the 1800s, like observing birds from afar was difficult because like high quality binoculars were not readily available to everyone, and it was like often more practical to shoot the bird or collect the eggs. And like while the collection of eggs of wild birds by amateurs was considered a respectable scientific pursuit in the 19th century and the early 20th century, from like the mid 20th century onwards, it became increasingly regarded as a hobby rather than like a scientific discipline. So yeah, and in like the 1960s, like a naturalist called Derek Ratcliffe compared like peregrine falcon eggs from historical collections with more recent eggshell samples, and was able to demonstrate a decline in eggshell thickness. This was found to like cause a link between like the use of forms of pesticides such as DT and deodorant, and a decline of British population like British birds of prey. As like a hobby, egg collecting was still popular in like the early 20th century, even if the scientific value had become less prominent. Like egg collectors built large collections and traded like with one another, and frequently collectors would go to extreme lengths to like obtain eggs for like rare birds. Like Charles Bernday was willing to have his teeth broken to remove a rare egg that became stuck in his mouth, as he had placed the egg in his mouth while climbing down a tree, which obviously wasn't the brightest idea out there. And in 1922, the British Zoological Association was founded by Baron Rothschild, a prominent amateur naturalist, and like Reverend Francis Jourdain. The group was like renamed the Jourdain Society after Jourdain's death in 1940, and Rothschild and Jourdain founded a breakaway group after egg collecting members of the British Ornithologist Union was denounced by Earl Buxton at their meeting of the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds. So yeah, the legislation such as like the Protection of Birds Act 1954 and the Wildlife and Countryside Act 1981 in like the United Kingdom has made it impossible to collect wild bird eggs legally. Like here in the UK, it's only legal to possess a wild bird egg if it was taken like before 1954, or with a permit for scientific research. Selling wild bird eggs, regardless of their age, is illegal. But it's like the practice of egg collecting and egging continues like underground or like illegal activity like in the UK and elsewhere. And in like 1980s and 1990s, the fines allowed by the law were only like a moderate deterrent for some egg collectors. But that's why the Countryside and Rights of Way Act 2000 allowed for 6 months imprisonment for possession of eggs of wild birds, and since it came into force, like a number of individuals have been imprisoned, both for possessing and attempting to buy egg collections. The Jordan Society continued to meet, although memberships dwindled after 1994, where a dinner of the society was raided by police, assisted by the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds, also known as the RSPB. This resulted in 6 members being convicted and fined. And despite some of this, despite all that, some of those who engage in egg collection can show considerable recidivism in their activity. Someone called Colin Watson was convicted 6 times for his death in 2006 while attempting to climb a high nest tree. To climb to a nest which was high up in a tree. And another individual had been convicted 9 times and imprisoned twice. And a third had been convicted 51 times, imprisoned 4 years, and barred from entering Scotland during the bird breeding season. Going to prison that many times isn't going to do you any good later on. The Royal Society for the Protection of Birds has been particularly active in fighting illegal egg collection and maintains an investigative unit that collects intelligence on egg collectors and assists police in mounting prosecutions on them, in addition to investigating other wildlife crimes. At one point, the RSPB staff were being trained by soldiers from the Brigade of Gurkhas in camouflage skills and surveillance map and radio techniques to best enable them to guard nests of rare birds. It's in the United Kingdom. To avoid possibility of prosecution, owners of old egg collections must retain sufficient proof to show, the balance of probabilities that the eggs predate 1954. However, the owners of generally old collections are likely to face prosecution of experienced investigators and prosecutors, as are able to distinguish them from recently collected eggs. It is illegal to sell a collection, regardless of the egg's age. And it's so old collections may be disposed of by giving the eggs away or by destroying them. Only museums are reluctant to accept donations of collections without reliable collection data, the date and place of when they were collected. That gives them scientific value. In the United States, the collection and possession of wild bird eggs is also restricted, and in some cases a criminal act, depending on the species, the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, the Lacey Act, the Endangered Species Act, or other laws may apply. And the methods of collecting normally, collecting eggs, the whole clutch of eggs is taken because eggs will rot if the contents are left inside. They must be blown to remove the contents, although collectors will take eggs at all stages of incubation. Freshly laid eggs are much easier to blow, usually through a small inconspicuous hole drilled with a specialised drill through the side of the eggshell. Egg blowing is also done with domestic birds' eggs, for the hobby of egg decorating. So yeah, that's it, and this is the Oolgy video today, so I hope you enjoyed it, and found it enlightening, so yeah, I'll see you all very soon.